What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you GLS content today, both Genesis League Sports and Genesis League Soccer, since those are somewhat connected at the hip right now. I mean, I guess they'll be connected at the hip forever, but Genesis League Sports is going to be more than just soccer. It is a platform for hopefully many sports collaborations and games and projects in the future that will all live under the GLS banner. But today we had our first town hall, which included Agrode. I guess his name is Don Gorgon. He's gone by Hatham in previous town halls, but maybe that's his real name. I guess he wants to go by Don Gorgon now. And several of the other team members who are part of the Splinterlands team but are focused on GLS. So this is not, for those who might be brand new to this, this is not a summary video, and I cannot tell you if other folks are going to be doing written or audio summaries yet like they do for Splinterlands. This for me is just my 5 biggest takeaways from the town hall today. So 5 points that came up that I wanted to expand upon a little bit. And so there's nothing to really reference. I'm just on the GLS website right now because it's got this cool little spinny thing. And yeah, so let's go ahead and dive in. I have my 5 points here, and I have to say, this was like 9 or 10 and I had to find a way to condense it down. I mean, a lot of them made sense to kind of put together, but there was a lot in this today. And if you want to go watch the replay of it, it's only 1 hour, and it is on the Splinterlands official YouTube channel. I believe they're going to be moving to their own socials in the next couple of weeks or whenever the next town hall is. I did ask Chatter, and I think he said in the comment section, I did ask him how often these are planned to go for, and he said every other week is the plan right now. So we will see if they stick to that, because the next one should be in early October then. But let's just go straight down the list here. And like I said, to me, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of really exciting things that are happening. Number 1, important dates to know. And they dropped a lot of these dates in the town hall today. So the only one that we knew was the pack sale, which is going to be for October 18th. But now we are starting to see what October is going to look like in the other weeks. So the white paper is going to drop 1 week early. So these are all Tuesdays, okay? The white paper is going to drop 1 week early on October 11th. Then the pack sale is going to happen 1 week later on October 18th. And then the airdrop for the GLS token is going to begin a week after that. So I had this wrong. I was really, really hoping that the airdrop would start beforehand, and that the only way you'd be able to buy packs is with GLUSD. And therefore, we'd immediately be getting airdropped. The GLX tokens, and then they would be burned in favor of GLUSD. I got really excited about that. Because I thought that could do some amazing things for the tokens. I mean, you like drop tokens right away and they're immediately burned because there's utility. You need to create GLUSD tokens, and you need to have people buy these packs. But alas, that is not the case. It sounds like you're going to be able to buy packs with other crypto as well as PayPal and maybe some other fiat forms. So that is the main thing for I guess dates in October, and it is a pretty full month if you think about it, right? It's really just that first week of October that everything's gonna be quiet. But if for those who are following the Splinterlands side of things, that first week is going to be a lead up to a lead up to Splinterfest, I should say, which is on the weekend right before 10/11. So exciting times ahead, and these I think are the dates that you need to know. So one thing it's almost a meme at this point because people were just joking about it by the end of the town hall, but the team kept talking about how they can't share stuff. They're like, yeah, there's some cool things, and we don't want to share them yet. And somebody even made a comment on YouTube, I think. It's like if you took a shot every time they said, oh, we don't want to share this yet, you'd be dead. And that's correct. You would be dead if you actually took a shot every time they said that, because it was obnoxious in terms of the amount. But I practice and preach patience here because we do have a date for the white paper, and the fact that they already have that date set in stone for October 11th. Again, nothing's really set in stone, but the fact that they have that date and it's less than 3 weeks away, it's like, all right, guys, they have a lot of cool things. There is a lot of sensitive information here, primarily due to the fact that they are working with real people and real organizations. This isn't like some made up fantasy land like Splinterlands. So they have to make sure that things are, all their I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Like, they have to make sure all of that is looking good. Now, moving on to the second part, Genesis League Soccer gameplay. Now, I have been very, very excited about this. And again, this is one of the areas in which they said, we can't release too much information right now, but the white paper is going to be coming out. And when I say white paper, let me just clarify for a second. The GLS, meaning Genesis League Sports white paper, was dropped already. So talking about the entire platform. The GLS, so Genesis League Soccer white paper, so two different things here, is going to be dropped on October 11th. And that's going to be talking specifically about that game. So now you have Genesis League Soccer gameplay. What's his name? Don Gorgon said something along the lines of like RPG mixed with a fantasy manager. And keep in mind, this is probably still going to be like an auto battler, right? But he did say it is going to be more involved. And there were a couple of little hints that I want to share with you. Again, we're going to get all this information in less than 3 weeks, but I think, and I've been saying this for people who are, from the Splinterlands world and who are upset about the bots and the exploitations that have been happening over the past year plus, I think we're not going to have that issue here with Genesis League, or at least it's going to be very mitigated, because I think the fact that it's going to be much more involved is going to be huge for this game. And yes, they want 3 to 5 minute games, so they're still short, but it sounds as though there may be like multiple turns in which you go in and do certain things. So you're engaged for those 3 to 5 minutes, but you also get the result in that time. You don't just set a team up and then it just goes, right? You set a team up, you auto battle, like maybe the first half, I think so things will be broken down by half. Then maybe you go in and make changes, right? So remember people were talking about land and how there's going to be this second, in Splinterlands, they were talking about land and how there's going to be this second phase. Well, now there's a built-in second phase because there's 2 halves in football. Soccer/football for my non-US and then US folks. So what's exciting about that, there were a couple of things mentioned. So we don't know the full extent of the cards, their stats and all that, but we do know that in order to play soccer, you need 10 players, a goalie, and a coach. So to me, and I'm going to reference back to Splinterlands for the Splinterlands folks here, I feel like the coach is probably going to be your summoner, right? And then you'll need to have a goalie, which I don't know if the goalie would be a tank necessarily, but maybe like a back tank or something. And then you're going to have 10 players, which seems like a lot, but again, it goes with the whole soccer theme. Now I'm wondering though, similar to Splinterlands, if there's going to be different player types, and I'm assuming so. I think you're going to have offensive, maybe like forwards, midfielders, and defenders, right? That would kind of make sense, and that kind of parallels the 3 different attack types within Splinterlands. So I'm hoping that we get something like that, so it's easy for people coming from the Splinterlands side to understand it, but I also hope that it is its own thing. The other thing that I heard was that there are going to be certain things like items available, and they didn't say give any more details about what the items might be like, but maybe there's like a headband item that keeps the sweat out of your face and therefore your vision increases, or maybe there's like a Gatorade drink, which would be like a cool collaboration, right? Like you get like a Gatorade card and all of a sudden your stamina increases or something, so it's almost like you're going to have everything that we want in Splinterlands with land now, right? Because there's going to be item cards, there's going to be a bunch of different player cards, there's going to be a coach card, and it sounds as though it's going to be much more involved. The last thing that I will say is that the last hint that I feel like was given that I can think of off the top of my head was one of the other folks had mentioned how you'll be playing the game, and then maybe in the second half, the weather changes. So that's a rule set right there. Think about like, okay, playing in the rain and how that might affect things, or playing, so it's going to have a lot of parallels to Splinterlands, I believe. But the fact that like, imagine playing a game in Splinterlands and it goes for like a couple of rounds and then the rule set changes and you can make changes to your team, right? So I really am excited about the GLS soccer gameplay. I don't think we are going to run into the same issue of it just being mass botted in the way that Splinterlands was. And in that way, I think it's going to be great. You're going to get a lot of real players coming in, and there's a lot of real players who love soccer, playing it, watching it, spending money on it, right? Like, so this is going to be really, really big in my opinion. Again, I'm not talking about like prices and values of tokens and stuff going to the moon. I'm just saying that I think this could be a really fun game. I love Splinterlands, the game. I find it fun and engaging, and it's a cool way to spend some time, earn money, and the community is awesome. And I think you're going to find a lot of that with or carry over into the GLS platform. And so that's when I say it's going to be big, I think it just has a huge audience. And if you can bring in a lot of the same, similar-minded folks and that same kind of community vibe, I think GLS could be really, really special. Both the soccer game and then the full sports platform. Okay, number 3. Chatter mentioned that they are working on a marketing campaign with actual players, and I think that this is phenomenal. Now, with Splinterlands, and I know I'm going to keep going back and forth with Splinterlands, but hopefully for those of you who don't play Splinterlands, you'll be able to understand the references regardless. With Splinterlands, we had the Waka promo last year or earlier this year, and they want to do more promos with other athletes and different things. The problem is that it's hard to reach certain audiences, and the audiences of these people may not really like the game or a trading card game, right? And specifically like fantasy themed trading card game, and a niche one at that, crypto related. When it comes to sports, though, the audience is super, super wide. And think about the fact that, if they do a marketing campaign with some of the players, these players might have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of followers on their social media platforms, all of which who love soccer, who like, the player and maybe want to get their card or something like that. And then on top of that, there may be a crossover with people who want to get into gaming/crypto gaming, right? So it's a perfect built-in audience, and now you have real people with very large followings, very large and loyal followings to a certain extent, right? That will be a part of this, and I don't think we could ever really get that with, we'd never really get that with something like Splinterlands. But with any sports platform, not just soccer, but with any sports platform, you have people who are already influencers in their space because of what they do, right? And I just think that I don't know. I just think that this is going to be much bigger. And I think that the marketing within GLS, both sports and soccer, is going to go a lot further in reaching a mass audience. So I'm pumped about that. Number 4, some more dates that we should be aware of. So the season for GLS, season for the MLS is going to end, I believe, in October. And then World Cup is happening at the end of the year, but that's unrelated. Although, quick bonus point is that somebody did ask if there's going to be any kind of collaboration or stuff for World Cup, and Aggie did hint at something, but says it still needs to be ironed out. I mean, again, MLS is not the MLSPA, right? MLSPA is just the Players Association, so this will not have any teams in it. It will just have the players, and then World Cup is its own entity entirely. But if some of those players who are going to be in this game are also playing maybe on the national team, and they start to get recognition, right? This is what I'm talking about. And I think this is what the team should go after. Imagine if there's a player who's a top tier player that is also playing on the national team for the US or national team anywhere in the world, right? And we go in and try to secure some kind of promotion or something with them while the height of the World Cup is happening. That's a lot of eyeballs right there, right? So I think that could be really special. Now, that time frame, so leading back to point 4, that time frame also means that we probably can't open up packs, or at least we were told we cannot open up packs until February 1st at the earliest. And it looks like March 15th, I think, was the date that Don Gorgon announced as a tentative date for when packs would be able to be open, because they're going to go through their offseason. Players are going to change different teams or retire or whatever the case is. And the stats will be created for all of these real people. Again, keep in mind, these are real people that, you need to create the stats around, and you need to see what team they end up on, even though the team doesn't matter. But you're going to, the project GLS team is going to need this to then create and put the stats in and all that. So, this is still like 6-ish months away, even though the pack sale is next month. And then I don't know when the game will go live, but if pack openings are around that time, hopefully the game will be live around, shortly after that. I'm sticking this point in here because this stadiums/land, which is going to be the land of the game, is also set to either go on sale or potentially go live next year too. And there is some crazy stuff being talked about for land. Now, some of this was mentioned in the town hall, but a lot of it was also in the town hall Discord chat. So people were discussing in there, and it might have been Chatter, it might have been someone else who was going back and forth. And there was something along the lines of land is going to have some real utility. And even Don Gorgon, like I said, Don Gorgon in the town hall said something like, imagine land as real estate. How can you utilize and leverage real estate to your advantage? So it sounds as though, and he even used the word passive income, right? Which gets thrown around a lot. So like when he said that, I was like, okay, cool, right? But like, give me some details. But that combined with what Chatter was saying about potential advertising opportunities. Okay. And I don't want to get too crazy on this because I want to wait for more information, but think about the large, stadium billboards or screens, right? And the large stadium platforms where there's just advertising everywhere. Now imagine you are a land/stadium owner. There might be opportunities for you to receive ad dollars for letting someone like Red Bull, who was given, I think in one of the examples in the Discord, let's say Red Bull wants to sponsor, right? Well, all of a sudden, Red Bull's thing can be slapped on your land plot or your stadium plot or whatever it's called, your stadium, and maybe somebody's playing a game there, right? And so whenever people play games in that stadium, there's an element of they get to see that, right? And so now all of a sudden, there's not going to be a ton of land. I'm assuming it's going to be a limited amount, and the land for this or the stadiums for this platform are all going to be. Let me back up for a second. The stadiums for that will go on sale next year is going to be for all of GLS, not just soccer, but all of the sports platforms. So if they were to add new games and things in the future, this would be for everything: football, baseball, all of it. So to me, I don't know. It's exciting. I would want to get in on the land. Whenever land becomes available there. So that's something that I will probably be thinking about, but it's far away and there's so much to happen between now and then, but just exciting things ahead in 2023. And then the final point is somebody brought up a great question about, what happens if the partnership falls through, right? So for example, the game runs for a year or two, whatever, and, the MLSPA decides not to renew or they move on to another thing or whatever the case is. So what Agrid was saying, and he didn't say anything specifically about this deal, but he said when they were talking with these larger entities, right, and sports organizations, they're trying to enter into 3 to 5 year deals, licensing deals, so that they will be able to make sure that they'll be able to use these for the next couple of years. And then even at the end of it, if they don't renew or whatever else happens, Splinterlands will still own the assets within the game, right? So maybe they won't be able to create new ones or they'll have to renegotiate or something in the future. But the idea is that there is some stability here. And I appreciate the person who asked that question because it's like, yeah, sure. Like what if something happens with the NFL or the MLS, right? Or, and they just decide that they don't want to re-up the deal. Well, knowing that there's multi-year deals kind of put into place, I think is a good thing. And, at the end of the day, it seems as though this is something that more organizations are getting excited about. Now, last bonus thing, and I know it's not even on here, but I just remembered it. Agrid even talked about the fact, again, there's nothing signed in paper or, it's not confirmed by any means. And he didn't even say which organization it was, although I would love to speculate at another time. But he said there's a fighting organization, right? So, and I don't know if that's like mixed martial arts. I'm assuming it's mixed martial arts, but he said there's a fighting organization that tried to launch stuff on OpenSea. They tried to launch their own NFTs and it kind of just went meh, right? And then they tried to launch their own token and it kind of went meh. And I don't know, maybe you guys will be able to do the research and find whatever organization this is. But he's had conversations or the team's had conversations with this organization, and they're getting excited about the potential of teaming up and seeing how building it out, on an already existing platform like GLS, Genesis League Sports, could be very beneficial because the economy is there, the tokenomics are thought through, and there's instant utility to these NFTs. So, don't just think about it from a soccer standpoint or football standpoint. I think that there's a lot that could happen in the mid to long-term future, right? I don't want to sell anybody on this, I don't want to sell anybody on a dream, but I do think that the team is working hard, and it sounds as though they're trying to secure a lot of these other partnerships. And the fact that they have left 70% of the tokens unallocated, right? It's going to be 2 billion GLX tokens. 70% of those, 1.4 billion, are set aside for future partnerships. So I have to imagine they're going to be going very aggressively to get larger, whether it's NFL, MLB, NBA, UFC, right? Like, or even maybe even like smaller leagues, who knows? But I have to believe that they're going to be going and trying to secure some kind of partnerships, maybe not for the teams themselves, but for at least the players associations within those. And we know that I think it's one team is the one that manages the MLSPA, but they also do the Players Association for the NFL as well as the MLB, which is why I kind of reference those, because if they already have like a warm handoff, like if this goes well and maybe the NFLSPA or NFLPA and the MLBPA, maybe they're both kind of looking to see how this goes, how this launch goes. And if it goes successfully, we could have them within the next, I don't know, 6 months, a year, 2 years. That's exciting. So lots of really, really cool things happening within this space. I would love to actually do 5 biggest takeaways for this whenever it comes out. So that is the plan right now. But let me know if you guys want more GLS content. Obviously, things are kind of sparse right now, but I do plan on covering this a little bit more. And as it grows separately from Splinterlands, I'll stop making all the Splinterlands references probably, especially for folks who don't play or care about Splinterlands. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below on all this information, if you attended the town hall, if you're excited about this, and if you want to see more content. Otherwise, I will catch you all in the next video, and I will see you around the game. Take care.